Welcome to today's episode. In a strategic move to enhance regional cooperation, Mozambique is planning to lease a portion of its northern port of Nacala to neighboring landlocked Malawi. This initiative aims to provide Malawi with crucial access to the Indian Ocean, facilitating trade and bolstering economic growth for both nations. The agreement is expected to streamline logistics and reduce costs for Malawi, which is currently relying heavily on the Beira port and the Dar es Salaam port corridors for its imports and exports. This collaboration could pave the way for increased regional integration and prosperity in that region. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the implication of this deal. Now, before I get into the specifics of this agreement, I want us first of all to look at a map so that we understand what we are talking about. Now, what you're seeing there is the proposed route from now the capital of Malawi to that port of Nacala, right? So that is what they have proposed. Alternatively, there is now the other route south through Blantyre, which is the second largest city in Malawi, again all the way to the port. So there is those existing highways that need only to be improved to the international standard to carry this cargo. The highways are there, the roads are there already, and that is what we are looking at. Now, the alternative route for Malawi has always been through the territory of Malawi itself to the border of Tanzania, then to Mbeya. Mbeya is a city in Tanzania. Then from Mbeya all the way to Dar es Salaam. Now, that distance has been about 1,800 kilometers, or thereabout 1,700 kilometers. Now, this other one is 1,000. So you are saving 700 kilometers by going to the port of Nacala as opposed to going through Tanzania. The same thing applies to now Lusaka. So Lusaka is the capital of Zambia. Now, if you look at the map, the way Zambia was designed, the capital is so far south from the border with Tanzania. It's closer to Zimbabwe than it is to Tanzania. So currently Zambia imports and exports their goods through Tanzania. Most of the time they go through Tanzania and then to the port of Dar es Salaam. But then these new routes have been proposed to them by Mozambique, is that Zambia, Lusaka, will be using the same route that they use to go to Malawi, Lilongwe, and then all the way to the port. Now, for Lusaka, this one will be about 16 or the 1,600 kilometers of distance. Now, as opposed to them going through Mbeya in Tanzania, which was close to 2,000. So thereabout they are saving 300 kilometers of road. The other thing is that this territory of Mozambique that the road cuts through is sparsely populated. What I mean by that is that they won't come across traffic or some other things on the way to stop or slow down the speed at which the truck will be driven. Occasionally there are towns like the same town you're seeing on this map. Libai is a small town. You come across another town like this one here. These are smaller towns that at least can host smaller garages, roadside garage for these trucks. As you can see, this one has some bit of hotel and an old railway. It's a small village. Here you can have new economies coming up, and that's why Mozambique is doing it, to try also to develop their interior by bringing some kind of new economies on these tiny towns in there. So that is the situation. Now I want to take you to Google Map so that you see the port we are talking about at the moment, and I'm going to try to zoom out. So the most famous and largest port for Mozambique is closer to South Africa than it is to Mozambique. I know what I'm saying. If you look at how big Mozambique is, it's a long country along the coastline. The southern part of it is where you find the capital, Maputo, and that's why they have one of the biggest ports. And you find, as a matter of fact, the north of South Africa, places like Pretoria and even the country of Eswatini, using the port of Maputo more than the people of Mozambique because it's very close to them. And then they have another port in the north called Beira Port. This one here, the port of Beira. And then now you have Nacala. It's a port, but there are very few people in Mozambique who live here. So Mozambique is trying to basically release this port now to Malawi because this territory, they want also to bring some form of, as I said, commercial activity there. Now I'm going to take you to Nacala so that you see what I'm talking about. This is one of the ports that is there or being constructed there. It receives gas mostly, and it's actually receiving gas and exporting it to Japan. It's not receiving gas that is coming in, but this is exporting gas from the gas fields of Mozambique. If you follow this road, it will take you to the Cabo Delgado region. It will take you to Mochimbua province. So the gas is coming here and it's being loaded onto ship, taken to Japan for the natural gas fired electrical power plants in Japan. Now opposite, this is the port that is there. This is the port of Nacala, the one that Malawi is supposed to lease this whole port together with Zambia. Now currently it's actually serving Malawi as I'm making this video. They are receiving bulk cargo. Bulk cargo is things like kinkers, kinker for making cement. They are also receiving cereals from this port. That is this is like now this what you're seeing in this photo. This is a bulk carrier, a bulk ship. Bulk ships are those ships that carry things in the hold of the ship. The hold is the body of the ship, right? The stomach of the ship. So as you can see, this one is light colored. Somehow maybe it's wheat. It could be wheat. It could be some form of cereal. It's not darkened color. It could be cereal, or it could be fertilizer for farming. I don't know what it was bringing, but this one, it is definitely a dark material like coal, which is kinker. As you can see how they're even pulling it out. This is a kinker bulk carrier. Kinker is the material that makes cement for construction. So as you can see, even the trucks, they are look grayish ash. So they are unloading kinkers and basically taking it to either Mozambique or Malawi or Zambia. This one here, I still think is a cereal bulk carrier, or maybe another kinker carrier. Maybe the two ships brought in kinker or coal. Who knows? It's possible they even brought coal from South Africa. There's a smaller ship here. I think this is a very small bulk carrier, very tiny ship. Maybe it's for dredging. Looks like a dredger with this platform here. It's more like a dredger, a ship that basically removes sand and silt from the floor of the port. It's too small to be carrying something heavy. Looks like a dredger. Now they dredge and create artificial land like this one. So it's possible. But now what I want to show you is this. This is the port section that is being constructed, or rather that is complete. This is the corner of the port that Malawi has been given for 100 years in a lease. And this container you're seeing here, these are fuel or petrol or diesel tanks that belongs to Malawi National Oil Corporation, the National Oil Corporation of Malawi. And this port, this image or the Google Earth image is a bit outdated, but this is the port we are talking about, the port that specifically belongs to the Malawi government, with very beautiful new roads. As you can see, these are new roads with new roundabouts. And so what will be happening, as you can see, there is a ship here, Mehmet Bey. This is a ship from Turkey. It's called Karadeniz power ship. So this is a ship that, as you can tell, is it's a power ship. It's carrying diesel generators to supply electricity to a location that may be needed, maybe where they are extracting their oil, or rather the gas in Cabo Delgado. This is their generator there. It goes there, docks, they connect electricity, it starts generating electricity to power the area, and until when they get their own electricity on the ground. So it's a power kind of generator ship. The word Mehmet means it's from Turkey or Turkey. So it's a Turkish. You can see this is a cable coming land. So the cable, chances are this line you're seeing here, the dotted line, I don't know whether you can see it, but I can see it. This is now the power line. And you can see a lot of smoke, meaning its 4 generators for electricity are running. Yes, I know this. And now it's generating electricity. The power line is with the floaters. These are floating objects to hold the power line. It's connected to this pylon, or maybe not, I don't know. But it's powering this territory, maybe powering this warehouse here that is storing refrigerated goods that are headed to Malawi. But basically you get the story. I think I've said so much, but you get what I'm trying to say. So this is the port that Malawi has leased for 100 years, and this is called Nacala substation, so you understand why there was a power ship there to improve what is happening here. And now the road goes straight to the other side, and it goes all the way now to the capital of Malawi, Lilongwe, right? So it's a really very impressive idea between these two countries, that Malawi is going to have their own port. They are going to develop their own port. The Malawi Revenue Authority are going to be now the ones in charge of duty, customs. So you pay your duty and custom there in Nacala, and then you import your vehicle to Malawi. You basically, that's very, very impressive between these two countries. Now, Mozambique is going to get what? Their region is going to get developed, definitely, but Mozambique also has what we can say roped Malawi and Mozambique into a deal where Mozambique wants to generate electricity, a lot of it, and sell it to them exclusively to these two countries, or rather these countries are going to buy from Mozambique exclusively. So that's what was part of the deal. I'm going to take you to now the details. So in a rare move, as they were saying, Mozambique has agreed to lease this part of northern port of Nacala to Malawi. And this is to improve the trade ties between these two countries. That's when the president of Mozambique, Nyusi, met his Malawian counterpart, Chakwera, to sign this concession deal. In exchange, this is now what Mozambique is getting. So Mozambique has this Mozambique-Malawi joint electrification project, which they are calling MOMA. It's going to be powered using the natural gas Mozambique got or discovered. And they are going to now generate this electricity in Mozambique and sell almost all of it to Malawi and part of Mozambique. The good thing is the same project is going to be invested by both countries, so it also belongs to Malawi. Very nice, Malawi. This is a very genius move for you to do that. And then the port of Nacala is part of what they're calling the Nacala Development Corridor, which is jointly being developed by Malawi, Zambia, and Mozambique. So you see, Zambia is also part of the deal of that port. So the goal is to facilitate regional connectivity and sea access for these two countries. So Mozambique is going down in history as one of the brotherly country in Africa that is helping its brothers. So Mozambique, thank you for this. This is very something that is not common in Africa. And as I was telling you, Malawian national economic interest is going to improve. The National Oil Company of Malawi, as I was saying, has recently imported 15 million liters of fuel through Nacala. They were using the railway. By the way, that's something I missed. There's a railway that goes through this route again. It's crazy. An old railway that was constructed way back by the colonialists. Now they are using that to carry the heavy stuff, the bulk kind of stuff. And that's what I showed you in the Google map, that there was some fuel depot that belongs to Malawi. So they're already using it. So Malawi gradually reduced its dependence of Beira, which is now the port very far north in Mozambique, and the one in South Africa and the one in Tanzania, where the costs have been high due to the use of the roads. The roads, especially in Tanzania, they've been charged a lot of money for using the Tanzanian road. Now, finally, as I end this video, you saw that part I showed you, the jetty that the gas is going to Japan. Japan, in exchange, through their JICA, this is the Japan International Cooperation Agency. It's their version of, Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. So Japan has had JICA for more than 30 years. So now through them, they are giving a grant. A grant is like a loan, not a loan, a free money, basically. And they're giving them 300 million to finance that port, to modernize the port. So those construction you saw in that Google map or Google Earth, some of that money is coming from Japan. So the upgrades include dredging to a depth of 14 meters. You saw the dredger I showed you. And a new equipment for cargo handling. Now these are those that lift cargo and containers. So Japan is providing all that for free. This expansion has started to pay off, and Nacala is emerging as a key dry bulk export port in Africa. So now you see what I'm talking about. Now, to finalize the video is that Malawi is trying to wean itself off using Tanzania. Another thing you need to know is that for those years, Tanzania never thought that they should give Malawi a small section of their port to basically lease it to Malawi. They never saw this coming. So all they've been doing is taking advantage of the landlocked Malawi and making them poor and poorer, because Malawi is already poor. So they've been making them poorer. The same thing applied to Zambia. Now Mozambique, I don't know what came to Mozambique, but they've decided to come to the help these countries. So they're giving them Nacala, that is now going to be connecting Malawi to the port. Malawi is going to own a port on the sea, their own port. So Malawi is not going to be called a landlocked country because they already have a port. So they need to change the curriculum and school books and say Malawi is partially landlocked because we already own a port that is not on our territory. Something like that. Same thing will apply to Zambia. If they join up with Malawi, then they can also get a section of that port. And I think Mozambique is going to do the same for Zambia. Give them a section of the other side of the port. Let them lease it for another 100 years. Let them manage it. Let them construct it. Let them basically have a port at the sea. This will help them to stop being landlocked. They become partially landlocked, meaning that they have a port that is not located on their territory, but they have a port, or they have access to sea. Now, the other thing was Ethiopia. I wanted to talk about a lot of things. So Ethiopia, is a landlocked country because of what happened between them and Eritrea. Now, they've been importing goods through Djibouti and Kenya. But the issue they have with Djibouti is that these are they have to pay a lot of fees to use Djibouti, the port in Djibouti. The other thing is that they don't control the port in Djibouti. The other issue is that the road that connects Djibouti and the railway to Ethiopia goes through very tough mountains, as you can see. So Ethiopia has been looking forward to use Dire Dawa and Jijiga, which are towns in Ethiopia. Jijiga, this is the town, to connect directly to the sea. Because from Jijiga to the capital, there's it's not flat. Rather, it's flat. The road connection between Jijiga and Addis Ababa are easy to drive through. And the other issue was that they were going to lease a section of the port of Berbera for 100 years. Actually, they already have the MOU in place. So Somaliland wants them to have that. But then there is the issue of Somalia. Somalia claims that Somaliland is not still part of Ethiopia, Somalia, sorry. While Somaliland insists they are independent or sovereign. They have their own army, their own courts, their own everything, their own parliament, their own constitution, and their own school system. They have their own currency. They have almost everything that a country needs. They have everything, right? The only thing they don't have is a seat at the United Nations, but everything else that articles that a country has, they have. And it's just how do I put it? Double standard that international community try to recognize. Taiwan, they recognized Kuwait as a country, but they don't recognize Somaliland. But anyway, so Somalia is insisting that Somaliland is still part of Ethiopia, of Somalia. They've gone to Turkey. Now this is the Turkish, the Ottomans. They've asked them to bring some navy ship here to intimidate Ethiopia. Now Ethiopia had a deal from Dire Dawa to connect to Berbera. So it would have been easier now. They wanted to have their own port in the same method that Malawi has gotten a port. But now, as you know, the geopolitics, not every country wants our brothers to have access to sea. When Africa is a country that we can all share, some countries have issues. Now, think about Kenya. It's a developed country, yes. But how hard is it for Kenya to lease a section of their land to Uganda to own? How hard is it? Like the same way Malawi has done with their Mozambique. Uganda should have their own port, the port of Uganda. They should even give it a name they want. Not closer to Mombasa. They can have it somewhere far away from Mombasa. Buy land there, lease it for 100 years. Give it their own name. They can even call it Entebbe 2 or the port of Entebbe and then control it. Then even build their own roads to Uganda. It should work that way. But that's not the case now, right?